On episode 209 of He Said, She Said movie reviews, we take a look at the movie CODA on Apple TV. Welcome to He Said, She Said movie reviews. This is the podcast where a happily married couple with similar but different movie tastes take a quick, spoiler-free look at the movies, helping you make the right decision before your next movie. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm April.
So we just saw CODA on Apple TV. April, what are you giving this one?
Tim, you go first today.
Well, for me, this is definitely a 4-star movie. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. How about you?
Same. I sometimes hope we have different opinions, but I totally agree. I loved the movie.
Well, we've been married for a while. We have the same opinions, right?
I guess we do. We watched this one with our entire family, with my 3 nieces, 17, 16, and 13, as well as our daughter, who's 23. The adults, everyone loved the movie. It was refreshing, it was educating, and it was actually very inspirational.
Yeah, because we were on vacation at Holden Beach in North Carolina, and we were all together to see this. First of all, I got to say something.
Okay.
Totally out of this is my ignorance, okay, of this movie and everything. I thought CODA, when I saw the trailer, I thought CODA was the name of the girl in the movie.
No,
little did I know that
it
CODA
stands for
Child
of Deaf Adults. And what a fitting, you know.
And that's one of the cool things about this movie. It really fills you in and gives you an idea of what these children of deaf adults go through.
Oh, it was, wow. All right, let me get into the storyline real quick. As a child of deaf adults, Ruby is the only hearing person in her deaf family. When the family's fishing business is threatened, Ruby finds herself torn between pushing, pretty much pushing, pulling, and pursuing her love of music and her fear of abandoning her parents. The director is Sian, Heder. I hope I said that right. She's known for Orange is the New Black and Mother. She also wrote the screenplay with Victoria Bedos.
I'll be honest with you. April wrote out the things, and I have a hard time reading her handwriting, so I'm going to try to butcher the cast here. It had Emilia Jones, Troy Kotsur, Marlee Matlin, Daniel Dufont, Eugenio Debris, Fiore Walsh, Paleo, and this had a 1 hour and 51-minute runtime, and it was rated PG-13 for strong sexual content and language.
Absolutely. Okay, so what did you think the theme and the tone was?
Well, I think the theme of this movie was, what do children of deaf adults go through? I mean, that's pretty much what this movie was about.
Right. But it was also about what happens when you have a dream and you're a part of your families and you have to make the really hard decisions.
True. Yeah. It also had definitely family themes to it.
I was really inspired by not just the relationships with her parents, the community, but her teacher. I mean, I remember I always talk about this. There's always 1, 2, 3, 4 people plus that help a kid, a young adult, with motivation, the actual steps.
Well, I know this is
achieve.
also a huge, big talking point for you and what you do. So
yes, it was. My voice is cracking a little bit. It was just a really refreshing movie. No trash. It was just brilliantly written. Acting, and I can't wait to talk about some of the other parts.
Let's talk about the acting right off the bat.
Incredible.
You had there's 4 people in her family, and once again, we don't do spoilers, and this really isn't a spoiler. So there's 4 people in her family. Her older brother was also deaf,
right?
And the really nice thing what they did with this movie is those 3 family members were deaf actors.
Right.
Okay, in real life, these people are deaf.
And I was really appreciative that they did that.
Yeah, I was too. So it wasn't, hearing people playing deaf characters. So I thought they did a really good job Marley Matlin, of course, has been around for a long time. But the guy who played the father/husband, he's been in a lot of things. So
right. And Emilia Jones, who was Ruby, this is just a fun fact. She spent 9 months learning American Sign Language and how to operate the fishing boat, which I thought was really interesting.
So she took a deep dive into becoming her character.
Yeah, she really did.
So that was great. So how about the direction, April? What did you think of the direction on
I thought it was phenomenal. I mean, when you look at how this movie was put together and directed, the music was amazing. And also, just before I forget, the cinematography. I mean, the water scenes, this was different, how this was done. And I just loved it.
Yeah, I think this was filmed in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Yes, it was.
But completely butchering that, and sorry if you're from there.
What did you think about the direction, Tim?
Well, the direction was good. I thought, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
So, I definitely thought the direction was great. I thought she did a great job of pulling everything she could out of the actors.
Absolutely.
So,
and how nice to be talking about a score that was well done.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the music that came along with this movie. There was a lot of current tunes, and plus the fact that Ruby is trying to pursue a singing, not a career, but an education in song, and how important song was to her was really interesting.
Absolutely.
And what was cool too, we kind of skipped over this in the themes, talking about the themes too. This did touch on school bullying a little bit too.
Yes, it did.
So I thought that was a good point too. Editing, as usual, editing, you really only notice it and can really talk about it if the editing's bad.
Right.
So, I thought the editing was fine in this movie.
And the pace worked just fine. I mean, I didn't feel like I was ever bored. I mean, it kept going.
Yeah, there's nothing slow about the movie. All 3 acts were fine. What about the dialogue? This is an interesting
Great
point.
humor.
I mean, because
I loved it.
A good portion of the dialogue wasn't spoken, so you had to read subtitles,
right,
for the sign language dialogue.
But the family dynamics and just the conversations were hilarious.
There is a scene, and I'm not going to spoil the scene for you at all, but there's a scene where the father thinks he's talking to Ruby's boyfriend, and the dialogue in that scene is hilarious. I was laughing so hard because he's signing everything, and he's expecting Ruby to interpret and tell this young man what he's saying.
Right.
And it's a birds and the bees conversation, which was just...
It was fantastic. All right, what about the story?
Once again, I think it's a very good story. I mean, it follows your typical hero's journey storyline, but you really... There's this great, really good Ruby's story arc from the start of the movie where she's this shy, introvert girl who's trying to figure out her place in life,
right,
to this... Once again, she has a great story arc.
She does.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Also, too, sharing difficulties in this situation and within any family dynamic with 2 parents that are hearing impaired. Right. I mean, it was... And a brother.
And actually, going back to the story, arc. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but going back to the story, you made me think of something. Going back to the story arc and the theme here, they also touched on this whole thing, because this is a family with a fishing boat, and that's how they make their living. They also touched on this theme of how we're overfishing the oceans.
Absolutely.
And how this
Good
is
point,
affecting small businesses and small business owners. So I thought that was really interesting, too.
Yeah, and I thought that just, I liked it all. I thought it was just all a very powerful movie and definitely worth seeing, everybody, please. And sit down with your kids because they're going to learn.
Yeah, right now, this is one of those movies that if someone was to ask me, hey, Tim, so far, what's the best movie of 2021? This would be up there in my top of my list as best movies for 2021.
Fantastic. It was just, and I'm so glad you joined us with that movie. All right, everybody. Well, this is CODA. Everybody, I hope you go and see CODA. It's worth it. It's such a good movie.
Oh, most definitely. And so what are we talking about next? What movie are we going to?
Oh, my goodness. We finished Clickbait.
Clickbait on Netflix. That's definitely worth seeing, but we'll tell you all about that in the next episode.
Absolutely. So go see CODA on Apple TV.
And I think it's also shown in the theaters in some places, too. So if you don't have Apple TV, I think you can see this still in the theaters right now.
All righty. Well, enjoy, everybody, and thank you so much for your support.
Thanks a lot. And once again, if you haven't already done so, please tell a friend about the podcast. We really appreciate it. Hey, and also, if you haven't given us a review yet, that'd be nice, too. Go out on your favorite listening platform and give us a review. We would really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you at the movies.
See you at the movies.